Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to meet Mike, make new friends, and take a look at a very nice setup. Welcome to the channel, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you've got a pop top, these are one of my favorites. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's a pop top on a GMC Savana van, so it kind of gives you the flexibility like a Westphalia to have that extra headspace when you're parked, but the reliability of the GM van.
Right. And so how long have you been on the road?
Since March of 2018.
So you are literally a snowbird.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And you work in Canada over the summer.
Yeah, work about half the year and then travel half the year is what I aim for.
I think that's a good life.
Yeah. No, I used to have a full-time job and I just was like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I need more time to play. So I switched to a seasonal job, and yeah, it's a really good lifestyle.
So you weren't forced into it. I mean, you didn't have to because of money. You still have a job you go home to
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, it was a personal choice, and yeah, and I don't regret it at all.
And so when you go home, say this spring, will you still live in the van or have a place to stay?
About 50-50. I have this van, and then I also have a 21-foot Aerolite camper that when I'm on the job site I live in, but on days off I live in the van. Yeah,
Well,
even when I'm parked at my parents' place and they have a spare bed, they're like, "Why don't you come inside?" But yeah, I like living in the van.
I used to do that with my mom as well.
Yeah,
She couldn't understand why I preferred to be in the van instead of
yeah,
her house.
yeah.
But
Well, even going in just to sleep, you have to pack an overnight bag,
yeah,
like just to go in
and it's
and
not
walk.
your bed.
No.
I like my bed. I'm sure you like
Yeah,
yours.
me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've really made this the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I've tried for sure. Yeah, and it's nice having all your kind of play toys in one space. Like no matter, even if I'm at home and I go to a trailhead and it starts raining, I've got my rain jacket
Right.
in the vehicle. Like I don't have to be like, oh, I should have brought a rain jacket or I should have brought this or that. Everything is with me all the time. It's great.
So what kind of work do you do that you can do just in the summer?
So I work in the forestry industry. So yeah, when the ground freezes in the fall, then that's kind of the end of it for us. And yeah, we have to wait for the ground to thaw in the springtime.
That's ideal.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
ideal. And so one of the way you're able to do it is by living so frugally.
yeah,
So you're really working 6 months out of the year and then taking 6 months off.
yeah. And my living expenses are really low in the summertime because I'm just living in a camper. I'm not paying
Right.
rent or anything like that, and yeah, it's great.
So by not paying that rent year round even, um, you get more control and freedom in your life to do what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of what I've said all along. It's a trade-off between comfort and freedom.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I know I don't think I've lost anything. Well, I've lost some, but not as much. I don't care.
yeah,
And you probably would say the same.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm very comfortable in this. It's a great layout and very functional.
One of the things I've noticed, especially in vans, it used to be that there were many more Canadian companies that built these really specialized versions
Hmm.
before the advent of the high tops. So like Pleasureway and Road Trek are both Canadian companies.
Yeah.
And so were you? This is where you got it in Canada,
So yeah, this was built out by a company called Safari Condo out of Quebec, and they still build vans, but they've moved on to more the Ram ProMaster chassis for their build out, and they'll still do conversions if people ask them, as far as I know. But yeah, I purchased this off a couple who they didn't buy it like this from the company. They bought the van separately. They took it to Safari Condo, had the pop top put in, had them do all the electrical and everything, and then they built out the interior themselves, but they built it with the same floor plan as what Safari Condo does. But yeah, they just paid a fraction of the cost because they did a lot of the work themselves.
right? Yeah, you can still do that. You can still have these pop tops put on.
Yeah,
So were you specifically looking for the pop top?
I was originally looking for a Sprinter van with the headspace, but not the pop top. But yeah, the reliability. I mean, the Sprinters are a great van, but I called a few people and they're like, "Yeah, I've got a Sprinter. You can come have a look at it, but you can't take it for a drive. I'm waiting for a part. It's 5 weeks away." And I was just and like that put the brakes on big time
Yes.
because I was like, if I'm in some small town, whether it's in Canada or the U.S., and I have to get a part ordered, I was like, I just don't want to like wait around for that part to come in, especially yeah, when you're traveling and stuff like that. And so I knew that the GM van, it's the 5.7 liter V8.
Mm-hmm.
It's very popular. It's in a lot of trucks.
Lot.
Everybody's worked on them, kind of thing. Like, yeah, you show up to any town and they're not going to have any trouble diagnosing the issue or just putting an ODB reader on it to get the codes, kind of thing. So,
Right.
And parts are easy to come by, whether it's from the scrapyard or just ordering it, yeah, online or from Part Source or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been my thinking all along. That's why I've always promoted more still the old style vans rather than the new European style vans.
Yeah,
For those reasons.
And don't get me wrong, like the Sprinter is a great vehicle. It's
is.
really fuel efficient. It's a great platform to build out on. But yeah, it just wasn't for me, and so I ended up seeking out one of these. Yeah, and I no complaints. Like it's been great. I've probably put 100,000 kilometers, which is 60,000 miles on it, and yeah, very few issues. I keep up with preventative maintenance, but it's been great.
Yeah, I'm convinced that as great of the gas mileage as the Sprinter gets, that over the long run, this will be much cheaper to operate because of repairs and inconveniences.
Yeah.
And so what are the things that keep you doing it? What do you love about it?
Yeah, the freedom to just go wherever you want to go. Like oftentimes if the weather is bad, I'll drive an hour or 2 hours somewhere where the weather is good, like especially if I'm seeing like a week of rain or something. But meeting the people, like it's just so amazing. Like just like a couple of days ago, somebody had their hood up and I was like, well, I wonder if they need a boost. So I kind of swung over. Me and that guy ended up talking for 4 hours. That's what I love. Like I've made really good friends on the road.
I call them bungee cord friendships.
Yeah.
Chances are really good now you'll run into that guy again.
Yeah.
And it'll be like you just saw him. Might be a year or two.
Yeah.
But it'll be like you just saw him the other day.
Yeah, well, at the RTR 2019, when I was here, I met tons of people. I haven't seen them since, but as soon as I posted that I was crossing the US, everybody started messaging, telling me where they were at the time and, hey, we should get together and stuff like that. So the community is great.
Yeah. Mike, thank you so much for sharing your story. Can we take a look inside your rig?
Yeah, for sure. My pleasure.
Okay, why don't we take a look inside then, Mike?
Sure. Yeah, so it's a 2001 GMC Savana with a pop top. There's a company in Canada, in Quebec, called Safari Condo, and they do the pop top. And yeah, once you come inside, you'll see just how much space is in there. It's amazing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they really, I love these pop tops.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what's nice about this one is it does have a fiberglass top. So even when the top is down, there's enough room. You can't stand fully straight up, but if you kind of are a little bit hunched and your knees are a little bit bent, you can stand and it's quite comfortable to like cook at the kitchen here or cut vegetables or do whatever. Yeah, it's still high enough that you can live in here with the top down. I think it's about maybe 5'5" in here with the top down.
And then when you open it up, my goodness, it's a mansion.
Yeah, it's like 14 feet in the center there. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know many 14 feet tall. So
yeah,
guys.
yeah. And the great thing about this van is that it has like all 3 windows in it. But what I did is I took out the screen mesh. So when I open it up, it really feels like you're outside.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't work well in Canada in the summertime when there's bugs.
But you're not terribly hot there either, generally. Although that's changing.
Yeah, yeah, it is, yeah. And that's, yeah, one of the things that I added was this max air fan. And so up here is a double bed. So right now I've got it taken out because I've got my my wing foil board. But normally there's a second bed up here that pulls out. It's 7 feet long by about 40 inches wide. And when it's really hot in the summertime, this max air fan, you can change the direction so it's sucking cold air from or cool air from outside at night and blowing straight on your chest. You just lay there with the fan blowing on you, and yeah, it's great. Better than air conditioning. So yeah, this is my kitchen area. I have a very small sink, but it's very useful. I needed a little more storage for gear and equipment, so I moved the kitchen over to this side. So yeah, I've got a little sink. I have one of those pressurized dry bags. And so yeah, you don't have to pump it up every time you want to use it. And then I just have a little 2.5 gallon gray water jug underneath the sink here. The cupboards are those gentle close sliders from Home Depot. And so yeah, they work really good. They stay closed when I'm driving. So I have the winter 45 quart fridge here. And that runs off of, I have 2 large AGM batteries. that are charged. I have 100 watts of solar on the roof. And then I have the Renogy DC to DC charger. So it charges off the solar. When the van is running, it'll charge off the alternator. And then the great thing is that when my batteries are full on solar, it'll push power to the starting battery of the van. And that way I won't be stuck with a dead battery.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great little unit. Yeah.
Right. What is this orange thing?
That's a one wheel. So it's like an electric one-wheeled skateboard. So it has about a 6 or 8 mile range. It'll go about 16 miles an hour. And it's really good for like leaving your van parked at a central location in town, and then just using the one wheel to go to the grocery store, go to the pharmacy, run around, do whatever you need to do. It's got a pretty wide wheel, so it does okay in sand or gravel or whatever. Yeah, it's just the big rocks you have to watch for.
Right. Very, very cool. So it's just kind of a basic build because you're having too much fun to spend time on it.
Yeah, yeah. I've got all my clothes cupboards are here. I've got all my gear at the back. And I've got everything. I've got wetsuits and dry suits and all sorts of equipment in here just because of all the different things I do. And then, yeah, this is kind of my couch slash bed. I did build it so I can pull it out to make a double bed if I want to. But most of the time I just leave it as a single bed. It's not the widest bed, but I haven't had any issues with it. It's been fine.
Right. So you've got a bed, a kitchen, storage,
yeah,
toys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The essentials of life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So both seats have swivels, so they will spin around. So if you have, you can sit, 6 or 7 people in here pretty comfortably.
Having the swivel seats is really, really nice.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best things you can do in your van.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes you very comfortable.
And the original layout of my original plan was to have sliding drawers here. And yeah, these little plastic crates, they work great. Like, I just can't be bothered to, go to all the work to put in sliders in here. Yeah, and all of the things that I have, like for cooking, I cook on camp stoves, so I boil water on a jet boil stove. I have an MSR Dragonfly which is a backpacking stove, and that's what I put my frying pan on to cook up food and stuff. So everything that I have kind of has 2 purposes. Yeah, I can use it in the van, or I can throw it in a backpack and go on a hiking trip or camping trip.
I can't believe how open this feels.
Yeah.
It feels like you're outside, and with both the windows down,
yeah,
you have got so much ventilation.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I tried to do most of my cooking outside so I don't get all the moisture inside. I've got a bike rack. It's got a swing out hitch, which is really nice because then you can have your bike on the rack but still access the back doors without removing the bike or having to fiddle around. I have 100 watts of solar on the roof, and an interesting thing about that is I didn't want to put holes in my fiberglass roof.
Right.
So I used the same double-sided tape they use for putting windows in skyscrapers. So it's 85 pounds per square inch is the tensile strength of this double-sided tape. So my solar panel and the rack that it's attached to, and those the feet that are attached to the roof are taped on with double-sided tape. Like, I do not recommend this to anybody, but it's worked well for me. I've had that on there for 3 years and it hasn't moved. Interior. So yeah, my bike fits right in here with the front wheel off. And yeah, I've got my diesel, my tanks for my diesel heater down here. And then I've got, just storage underneath. So tools, I've got max tracks. My van is only 2-wheel drive.
Just the normal things of life.
Normal things, yeah. Yeah, max tracks, if you only have a 2-wheel drive vehicle, highly recommend them, or any kind of traction boards. They make a big difference.
Yes. So one thing I have to ask everyone is, how do you go to the bathroom?
So I use a pee bottle for number 1.
Sure.
And then for number 2, I have a bit of a unconventional method. I haven't seen it before, and there's probably a reason why nobody else does this, but all I use is essentially a yogurt container, and I line it with a dog poo bag, and I go in that. It's a bit of an emergency situation when I have used it, but it works pretty good. I haven't had any mishaps with it.
I guess
Yeah.
that's the advantage of youth
Yeah.
and flexibility.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Yeah.
The idea of doing that at my age is just not an option. But
Yeah.
that's
And then you just throw it out like you would dog waste. Yeah.
so it's just really it's just a small bucket.
It is a
very
very small bucket.
bucket.
Yeah. Yeah. In my camper, I have a composting toilet, and down the road, I might try to move towards something like that. But right now, I camp where I kind of know there's a washroom fairly close by, or somewhere where I can access one.
Mm-hmm.
For showering, most of the time I shower at a public. I'll go to a campground and pay for a site so that I can have access to a shower. But I can set this up as well so that I can shower, and I can set up like a tarp in front and just wash myself off here if I want to.
So,
it works pretty good.
You know, you're pretty young, and it's for me. I thought about doing this when I was young, but I didn't have the courage. How did you make yourself do this? Did you have to make yourself do this?
It wasn't. It was actually something that I had thought about for a long time. I remember back when, like, I'm 43 now, and I remember back in my early 30s and even late 20s saying that I wanted to have a break. So between the ages of 40 and 50, I wanted to essentially have a pre-retirement. So I would take some time off to travel while I was fit and able-bodied, and that was kind of my idea at the time. I've since realized that there's a lot of really fit people who are in their 50s and 60s, and they're living a great life out here. But I talk to them and they're like, oh, I wish I would have done it earlier.
Right.
And I see people who are in their late 20s and 30s doing this, and I'm like, I wish I would have done it earlier. So yeah, don't wait. That's the one thing I always tell people, don't wait, just do it. And yeah, hit the road in whatever vehicle you've got.
Yeah.
People message me all the time being like, oh, I'm looking at this option. I say, what are you driving now? Go in that. Or just throw a mattress down in the back of a cube van and make that work, like your story, Bob. It's amazing.
Literally.
Because yeah, if you keep waiting, it's never going to be the perfect time. You have to just jump and go. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah. That's the message I try to communicate. It's just a lot of people. We're so trained in fear in our society that we just we're pretty reluctant to make that leap of faith.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So your testimony is just make it.
Just go.
Go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
If you jump off the cliff, the landing will be safe.
Yeah, and you're always going to wish you'd started earlier. So
right.
Just go now.
And you know, one of the things I tell people too is if it turns out it's not for you, and it could, and that's possible, you'll still have some wonderful memories you'll treasure the rest of your life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When in your old age, they'll be your favorite memories of your life.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for sharing your home and your story with us. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
it was very inspirational.
Yeah, it was great meeting you and the crew. Yeah, it's awesome. I love what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So folks, if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.